While also making headlines, a deadly security breach at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. New details are now emerging about the man accused of traveling across state lines to the president's Palm Beach home, armed with a shotgun and a gas can. Let's get over to Liz with the very latest on the investigation.
Well, Jim, 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin reportedly walked through an open gate at Mar-a-Lago early yesterday morning before he was shot and killed by Palm Beach County deputies and Secret Service. Martin was reported missing the day before by his family in Carthage, North Carolina. Authorities say he traveled down to Palm Beach, stopping to buy a gun along the way. The box for that gun later found in Martin's car. That gun that you'll see here is the one he allegedly pointed at two Secret Service agents and deputies who confronted him. That's when authorities opened fire, killing Martin. A former Secret Service agent now says this incident fits into a long pattern of breaches at one of the most high-profile properties in the country.
Yeah, CBS 12's Katie Benty joining us tonight live outside of Mar-a-Lago with the very latest on the investigation. Katie?
Well, Liz and Jim, on any given day, the president's Mar-a-Lago estate here in Palm Beach could be best described as a fortress. Now, over the weekend, a man managed to breach that security and was killed. But what may surprise people here tonight is that despite this incident, at least from the outside looking in, it seems that not much has really changed. From the street, it looks like business as usual at President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach. The same security zones, the same law enforcement checkpoints. But just over 36 hours after a deadly security breach at the president's Winter White House, former Secret Service agent Tim Miller says the real work is happening behind the scenes.
They're going to be running this to ground. They'll be reviewing every angle of the security breach to say, okay, how did it happen? What happened?
Miller says a full federal after-action review is likely already underway, involving both the Secret Service and the FBI.
There's no such thing as perfect security. The Secret Service knows that. All of us know that. They put it in layers of security. Remember that security is all about being proactive, planning for it, stopping it before it ever happens. And in this case, they did.
That response came just after 1:30 Sunday morning when investigators say a man crossed into the secure perimeter of Mar-a-Lago, armed with a shotgun and carrying a gas can. Authorities say he dropped the gas can but then raised the shotgun toward officers. Agents opened fire. The man, a 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin of North Carolina, was pronounced dead at the scene.
What we don't know a lot about is why. It seems strange to all of us.
Investigators confirm Martin had no known criminal history and had been reported missing days earlier. Public records also show his name tied to an LLC, Fresh Sky Illustrations, opened last year, selling hand-drawn illustrations of golf courses. All of it now part of an ongoing FBI investigation as agents work to understand why he came to Florida, why Mar-a-Lago, and what his intent was. Now, no officers were injured during the shooting, and the president was actually in Washington at the time. Reporting live in Palm Beach, Katie Benty, CBS 12 News.
I don't know how long I'll be around. Got a lot of people gunning for me, don't I, huh? You know, you read about all these crazy shooters, but they only go after consequential presidents. They don't go after non-consequential presidents, you know. So maybe I want to be a little bit less consequential. Can we hold it back a little bit, please, Tom? Can we just, like, nice and easy? Let's be a normal president for a little while.
President Trump breaking his silence after an armed intruder carrying a shotgun and gas can breached security at Mar-a-Lago, forcing Secret Service to take him down. 21-year-old Tucker Martin drove through an exit gate after another vehicle was coming out. And joining us to discuss this case and a new theory in the search for Nancy Guthrie is former FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weiss. Good morning to you, sir. Fortunately, we know the president was not at Mar-a-Lago, and right now federal agents are looking for a motive. They want to see if this kid acted alone or was part of a bigger plot. So talk about the investigation. But first, I got to ask you, were you surprised at how easy it was to enter the gates of Mar-a-Lago, that he could just drive through an exit?
Yeah, you have to love the president, don't you, that he can joke about this. But yeah, you got to remember, he wasn't there. So the security posture around Mar-a-Lago, which is a business, will sometimes withdraw. So on these gates, those are always gaps. It's a business, so there's going to be vehicles going in and out. And every time a car comes in and out, that presents a gap. So was I surprised? No, because that's probably the most vulnerable area. And this is why you do the after-action review. They're going to look at security protocols. Could they have prevented that? They're going to see, do we need to change our security posture when the president and first lady are not in there? At that time that is going on, you're also going to look at the officer involved shooting. You know, was it justified? Every fact I've seen, of course, but could it have been prevented? And while those investigations are going on, you're going to have the FBI looking at this young man. What was his motive? Was he part of a bigger plot? They'll look at all his digital footprints. They'll go through every coworker, friend, family member. They'll interview everybody and anybody they can find that might know him, because they have to find out, was this just some isolated incident
or was it
by
part
a
of a bigger
crazed
plot?
person?
Yeah.
Or a bigger plot?
Yeah, and
exactly.
Could it have been prevented? Dude's got a gas can and a shotgun. They told him to put down his gun, and they said he raised it up. I'm not sure what else they were supposed to do in that situation. We will see how the investigation plays out.
Good evening and thank you for joining us at 6:30. I'm Tiffany Rizzo. Tonight, the FBI is investigating after authorities shot and killed an armed intruder at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies say the man breached the property's inner perimeter overnight. Officials say he was carrying a shotgun and a gas can, but he didn't get far before being shot and killed by law enforcement. Parts of South Ocean Boulevard remain closed as the investigation continues. The FBI is now leading that investigation, working to determine the suspect's motive and whether anyone else may have been involved. I spoke with a retired FBI agent about what they'll be looking for next. A deadly confrontation outside the Winter White House. President Donald Trump's Palm Beach home, Mar-a-Lago, is now under federal investigation. Authorities say an armed man breached the property's inner perimeter around 1:30 Sunday morning. When he raised a shotgun towards law enforcement, officers opened fire.
They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those two pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw says the man drove in near the North Gate. Investigators have identified the suspect as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin of North Carolina. He died at the scene.
And fortunately, nobody was in jeopardy inside because of the quick action that was taken by the deputies and the Secret Service.
The Secret Service confirms the president was not in Florida at the time and no officers were injured. The FBI is now leading the investigation.
Currently, our evidence response team is processing the scene, collecting evidence, and we'll continue to work the scene for as long as it takes.
So what are they looking for? We spoke with retired FBI Special Agent Stuart Kaplan, who says investigators are moving quickly to build a digital and physical timeline.
And we're going to go through those digital footprints that are left behind, and most importantly, see whether or not first was he on the radar to any local law enforcement state, and then see how far back, if in fact there was any planning and preparation in connection with this attempt.
That means searching electronic devices, tracking vehicle movements using license plate readers, reviewing surveillance video. Investigators are also working to determine whether he acted alone. Kaplan says the presence of both a shotgun and a gas can could indicate a plan to cause significant damage.
I think certainly he had a motive or a plan to cause destruction inside Mar-a-Lago, certainly with the gasoline, because if in fact he was able to use that gasoline as an accelerant, that could have had devastating consequences on the structure itself, and of course in ensuing a panic, especially in the middle of the night where people are sleeping, it could have been a disastrous situation.
This incident comes after previous threats and even attempts on the president's life in recent years, adding to concerns about security. But Kaplan says the assets and resources deployed to protect Mar-a-Lago are extensive.
If you think about perhaps trying to breach that perimeter, there will be consequences.
Reaction is also coming in from local political leaders. Carl Casillo, chairman of the Republican Party of Palm Beach County, says this incident raises concerns about political violence and rhetoric. Casillo also called on the Department of Justice to take action against anyone he says is inciting violence.
We got to quell all of this, and if it means a couple of people that continually speak out against the president and call for harm to he or his family, they need to be arrested. That's illegal. You can't call for harm to other people and especially the President of the United States. This has gone on far too long.
Officials have been on high alert over the rise in political violence given the latest attempts on the president's life. And while investigators look to find out if the shooter was targeting President Trump, the U.S. Secret Service has been busy these last few years. Remember, back in July of 2024, President Trump survived an assassination attempt by 20-year-old Thomas Crooks in Butler, Pennsylvania. Crooks managed to get onto the roof close to where Trump was speaking during a campaign rally, but he narrowly missed, and he was killed by Secret Service agents. And just a few months later, Ryan Ruth was caught with a rifle-style weapon aimed towards Trump while he was at his golf course in West Palm Beach. Ruth was recently sentenced to life in prison. Since then, authorities have stepped up security across Mar-a-Lago, but that hasn't stopped others from trying to trespass onto the estate. A Chinese national in November 2024 tried to cross over into the property and was arrested, claiming he had ties to a plot against Trump, but there was no evidence to support that. And last year, a man in Texas scaled the wall into the grounds, claiming he wanted to marry a member of Trump's family. He was arrested and held on bond.
And now to our continuing coverage of an armed intruder shot and killed at the president's estate on Palm Beach.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw says the man from North Carolina was carrying a shotgun and a gas can.
CBS 12 News reporter Stephanie Valderrama is live this morning near Mar-a-Lago with what unfolded early yesterday morning. Steph?
Yeah, well, Southern Boulevard is back open at this hour. People are now driving on this road again. That was not the case less than 24 hours ago when you couldn't even get to where I am standing right now because of the incident that unfolded in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Now, here's what we're learning. Local and federal authorities say that 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin drove in through the north gate of Mar-a-Lago at about 1:30 Sunday morning. The 21-year-old was able to breach the property's inner perimeter. Then detectives say he raised a shotgun at law enforcement. And that's when Secret Service agents and a PBSO deputy opened fire.
They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun. He was ordered to drop those two pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons and neutralized the threat.
So as for what is next in this investigation, experts tell CBS 12 News that it's possible the FBI is now working to determine if this 21-year-old did act alone. Now, we have confirmed at this hour that the president and first lady were not here at Mar-a-Lago when this unfolded. Matt, Sam, back to you.